Hello fellow modelers, and welcome to part 3 of the build of the Alexander Scale Models Haunted House. Doing a number of things at the same time here. Beginning to work on the roof, which I'll show you what we have to do. I have painted a piece of this wire, which is the corner trim for the bay window, letting that dry while I'm working on the others. I have finished installing the window in the last part of the 3 bay windows and put the curtains on. By the way, that's just lace that my wife and I picked up at Joann's Fabrics. I bought a couple different they'll sell it to you by the foot. This is one piece of lace, and this is a wider one that I'm using on those big windows. So, and the other stuff is the other curtains and so forth are just decorative ribbon. And again, Joann's or Michael's or any of the places have it. Now I have to. And I have roughed out This is actually a mock-up using balsa wood. This is going to be the foundation under the bay window. So I just wanted to rough one out, see the right way to cut it before I use my somewhat limited supply of my random stone. So all of that I did today, and then everything is drying, and now I'm starting to work on the roof. And these formers, which are die cut on this piece, and in particular the largest of the two. And I want to be able to get that out of there. Using this on my cutting mat. And there's the first one loose. I'll do the second. I am going to then, if you see here, let's see if you can see it. There are 2 die-cut parallel lines here. That's a notch. I have to cut that piece out, and then these 2 pieces will fit together. I'll come back and show you that. You don't want to have to see me do this whole thing. Okay, back again. Now they tell you, here's these 2 formers, roof forming pieces cut out, and they will go together like this, at right angles to each other. And they told you to take subroof part M as in mother, and here's all the pieces of subroofing. And they don't really have any of them labeled, but once you get these out, you can see that it's the largest. That's what your guess would have been anyway. And you are to go from opposite corners and draw those lines in, because you're going to take these formers and you are going to glue them right on top of those lines, which is my next step here. And when that's done and those are glued, you're going to take another one of the subroofs, which they call N. And again, you have to kind of figure out which one it is. And it's going to be glued on top like that. And once you do that, you can start putting the roofing material on. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the right one for, that's not square, that's rectangular. I believe that's the right one. Alrighty, I will proceed with putting these together. See you soon. Alrighty, this would be an update on part 3 of the haunted house build. What I'm doing here is just showing you that the bay window is complete and the wire trim for, you want to call them corner trims or whatever, are glued in place. And I am test fitting this foundation that I built out of just plain balsa, and I can see now that that fits just fine, so I can now duplicate that using the random stone foam board that I had made. And I am working on over here the subroof supports for the mansard roof. And they gave you cardstock to glue together to form that subroof. And you can see, if you look at this corner here, there's a concave cut to that. So when you use the roofing material that they gave you, you have to try to bend that so it'll fit. And what I am doing, and they suggest this, is to find a tube or a big dowel or something, and you can see what I've done is, you can see I've used elastic bands to curve that subroof material to the curvature of this dowel. A pretty heavy, not dowel in my case, it's a tube. And I think that'll get me pretty close to the right curvature. If not, I have other smaller pieces, smaller diameter that I can do. So I'll leave that overnight and see if I get some of that curvature. One of the things you're going to find is that they call some of these cardstock pieces M, N, and P, and you have to decide which one is. They're not labeled. They did not give you the dimensions of what size M is, what size N is. M is the biggest one. It's on the bottom. N is the one that fits. It's actually the smallest of the 3 square pieces, and it fits right on top of that. And then P is a little bit larger and will be glued on top of this. So for those of you who are going to build this, here are the dimensions of M, N, and P. So M is the largest, that's 3 and 13/16 inches. N is what's 2 and 11/16, that's the smallest of the square ones. There's also 2 rectangular pieces that they give you. I'm not sure what they're for yet. And P is 3 square inches. So it takes some of the guesswork out for anybody who's following this build. So this is now glued together. Once I get these subroof pieces curved the way I want them, you have to very carefully cut each one individually to fit, one on each side. I have 4 of those. Glue those in place and then continue on with building the roof. Alrighty, that's it for now. And see, I knocked that, but that does fit under there good. Alrighty, talk to you again soon. Alrighty, I'm starting to glue the roofing material around the former roof forming jig that they have provided and you've glued together. I've added some gluing areas and reinforcements in there, and I got the first piece cut and on, and the next piece now will come in and I will work on that. But the first I want to show you that wrapping the roofing around the paper tube that I did, cardboard tube, overnight worked, and I got these bending in the correct direction. They are pretty much right on as far as this dimension. So if you cut right along this edge, just down to the shingle area, and the same thing on the bottom, that's pretty good. But they are longer than what needs to be. So my wife came up with the idea of using some parchment paper, which you can see through, to make a pattern, which is what I did right on the form itself, and then I can use that pattern to cut out the pieces. There could be some slight difference in each dimension, so you kind of have to treat each one separately. But there's the first piece glued on, and now I got 3 more to do, and then go on with the roof build. This will obviously have to be painted. I'll probably do it a slate gray color. All right, talk to you again soon. Like many things in modeling, where looking ahead, you build it up in your mind as being more difficult than it turns out to be. That's what was happening in my mind with regard to the creation of the mansard roof. But with patience and careful cutting of the pieces, it's come together quite nicely. Here I have all 4 sides glued on, and I have one piece of the corner trim, which once again is this wire, which is not like a spring steel. It's more malleable, which you need because you need to get it to conform to the curves and so forth on those corners. And this is a piece I cut off when cutting the roof pieces to size, and it has the correct curve to it, so I'm just kind of using that as a form to bend the wire to the correct shape. Put that in with gel type ACC. So I got 1 corner done, 3 more to go. Once that's done, I think I'll paint, give everything that you see there a coat of probably a slate gray color before continuing the build on top of here. And to show you what that is, just to kind of look ahead, on top we have some more formers that will go on to this roof P, which I've already labeled, and a very small square, and that's the cupola floor, and then you build the cupola, and those are pieces that I've already painted. And I got to insert the windows and assemble that. And then finally a dormer on one side. You can leave that off if you wish, but we'll see. And I have to form the roof over this part of the building as well. And then of course the porches and so forth. But yeah, moving along, and so far so good, one little step at a time. All right, more updates coming. Okay, another quick update. The lowest level of the roof is done. All the metal corner trim is in. I painted a slate gray. It's a little light. We'll see. I'll decide whether to go over it with a darker gray or not. But that is, I think, Americana slate gray. Painted all the trim here that is needed for the various levels of the roof. I've done the formers, the roof forming pieces from the kit for the next level up. So this 4 pieces is the same as this roofing material, so I have to go and do the same thing as I did down here. This little platform is for the cupola. I think what I'm going to be doing is keeping these 2 pieces separate until I install this piece onto the house, and then I will glue this on top. They tell you to do it the opposite way, but I know how my fumble fingers are, so we'll see. All right, all of these things take time, so yeah, it's a time-consuming kit. All right, talk to you again soon. And this is kind of the look you're going to get when the roof gets installed. Of course, there's another piece that goes in here that comes up and fits into this slanted roof here, and this gets a roof on it. But you get the idea there. It's starting to take shape. Alrighty. So what's with the spam can that shows up in the back of my videos? And I know you're just dying to know what the heck that is doing sitting around. But if you look inside, you see a whole bunch of pieces of wood. And if you look at them closely, they are all numbered. This one is numbered 18 feet. That means that's a scale 18 feet long. And here's a small one. That one is labeled 4.75. That's 4.75 feet long. What in the world are they for? Well, as I scratch build or build models and I need to cut strip wood to a certain length, I take out my scale rule and I get it to the right shape, and then you come over to your chopper and you're trying to figure out exactly where to hold this to get the exact amount, and finally you get it. And then I cut an extra. So the next time that I need something that's, let's see, 9 feet like this one, I just open up my chopper, put that spacer in, boom. Now I can cut to 9 feet. The amount of time that this has saved me over the years is incalculable. And it's also, you think you need 9 feet, take this spacer, hold it up to the model. Does it fit perfectly? Boom, you're done. So just a tip. They fit nicely because some of them are longer than others in a can that's rectangular like this rather than a round can. It doesn't tip easily. And I just find it very useful. Big time saver. Just a tip from an old codger. All right, talk to you soon. Always look for the spam can. Well, as you attack the roof on this kit, it looks, if you look at the finished model, kind of daunting, but it's really just a combination of several sub-assemblies, each of which, if you tackle, is not that bad. So here we have the bottom part of the roof, the mansard roof, still not attached, but I'll be doing that pretty much next. And then on top of that goes this sub-assembly, which again is made up of some cardstock formers, and then that cardstock roofing material that they have, and painted in my case, I used Americana Zinc, which is a dark slate color. And there's still some trim that goes on here, some wood trim with trim that goes around the bottom. And then three more sub-assemblies, I should say, on the roof. You got the cupola. Talk about that more in a minute. You have the wing roof over here. On top of the bay window wing, and you have a dormer. And the dormer is optional, and I'll probably put it on. We'll see. If it crumbles and falls apart, I can leave it off. But so those three sub-assemblies yet, and I will add some of the trim next. You got if you look at this breakout on number 11, you have some wood that you use for the eave, which is 1/32 by 3/32, and then the same 1/32 by 3/32 for the fascia. And I have that painted, and so I'll be installing that next. They want you to use some quarter round eave trim for, where's a good picture of it? Right here, you can see them here, the eave trim, these little pieces. They did not provide me enough. Someplace in the life of this kit, some of that disappeared. And I'll probably just leave that off. And, that's kind of where we are right now. So I will probably glue the roof on next and then turn it upside down to put the eaves and the fascia on, and then start working my way upward. So now we're talking about the cupola. Let me see if I can find that wood a minute. Both the cupola and the dormer are made out of this very thin scribe siding, and that's a lot thinner than the walls were. And as you can see again, I have to cut out, if I get it at the right angle, 1, 2, 3, 4 window openings for the cupola, and this is the dormer front, one of those. I expect the wood to crack along the grain, as I did before, so it's going to be a bit of a pain in the you-know-what. But yeah, that's next up, and we'll see how that goes, and I'll come back with an update. Talk to you then. I found another misprint in the instructions that I thought I would alert you to. When you go to glue the roof onto the structure itself, which I have now done, they tell you, let's see if I can get this here. This is under where it says next. Next, carefully cement the roof assembly to the top of the walls and let dry thoroughly. It will be necessary to notch the overhanging shingle piece. That's these four curved pieces. You're going to have to notch that to clear sections D and E of the wing wall. Now this is the wing wall, and I'll show you what D and E are. This is D, and this is E. You don't need to notch it to clear D and E. Again, I'll show you here. This is E, this is D on the other side. You need to notch it to clear these two protruding walls. A little notch there. Let me see if I can zoom in a minute so you can see the notch. It's not very big. A tiny, tiny notch right there, and a tiny, tiny notch right there to clear these two. These are not D and E. They are F and G. They're the two walls protruding out, and you just need a tiny little notch because the shingles just overlap the base by a little bit. Right? There's a base like this underneath, and here the shingles coming down do not overlap, but on the bottom section they do. Just got to notch those. All right, so that's glued on. I need to start fabricating the roof on the wing wall here, and they give you die cut pieces to glue together, and then out of your scrap, that's why you don't throw any of the scraps of any of this cardboard. Don't throw any of it away, because there's a couple times where they tell you to take a piece and cut it. I now have to glue this in place, which I will now do so it dries good overnight. And then I have to form the roof in place using, once again, this roofing material. Let me zoom out a little bit so you can see what the heck I'm talking about. So this former, basically, you had to cut it out of the sheet, glue it together, then out of the scraps, cut the top. Now this is going to get glued in place. And you then have to start fabricating the outer side walls. They do not give you a pattern for that. You have to figure it out. It's got to come out as far as this one does, as this curved piece does, and fit against tight into this curved wall. So they tell you to kind of make a pattern and trial and error. Once you get the pattern right, cut out the two sides and glue those in place. And then you glue the front piece on. So here's the three pieces. These are going to be the two sides to that, and here's the front. They are oversized, and you have to make your pattern and cut these to size. Yeah, wonderful. Okay, that'll be a task for tomorrow. I'm going to glue this on, and then tomorrow I'll play around with trying to finish that roof up. Update you then. Another quick update, I hope. I have the wing roof mostly done. Hasn't been painted, obviously, and I still have to put the wire in the corners that acts as the trim. And this little roof on top is just laying there. So yes, I'm putting on the trim here, gluing this on, painting everything again to slate gray, and the wing roof will be done. It took me about an hour and a half, I guess, of modeling time to get that in place. I played around with different shapes and stuff to get finally to what I wanted there, and then cut them out properly. So yeah, it's a little bit of fussy work there, but the worst of it is behind me. And next is the dormer, and then the cupola. Talk to you then. Okay, this will probably be the last update before the finished product. What we have right now is the roof is complete. I just have to put the lightning rod on top of the cupola roof, but and the cupola is just sitting here right now. So get that glued on. I'm kind of waiting for almost the end because I don't want to be knocking it off. I still have to put the roof on the bay window, but here is that roof. I made it out of cardstock, painted it so it's ready to glue on. So what's left to do is on the back side, the back entrance, you get a roof like this. Let's see, yeah, you can see that. I have to build that roof over the back door. And I've talked about putting a full front porch on instead of a partial porch. The porch is built. This is about the size the roof will be. Going to be using some Tishy castings to build the porch. One is the porch posts. It's their product 8092. They're turned porch post, and the railings will be another Tishy product. It'll be their number 8099 spool railing. So just have to build the porch yet, and haven't decided what to do with the roof yet. I don't have enough of this material, this roofing material, to put on that roof. So I might make it look like metal ribbed roofing. We'll see. So that's it. Overall, you know, the usual challenges with the walls of the cupola splitting when I tried to cut the holes out, but everything got glued together again and went in fine. I did put one figure, maybe you can see her there, looking out the window of the dormer up in the attic. Alrighty, talk to you again when the model is complete. Well, it's not often that you see me work with styrene, and you know wood is my favorite modeling medium, but when it comes to making something like this overhang for the front porch, styrene works wonderful. It goes together quickly and thin and sturdy. It's getting there. So there's the roof made out of 0.030 300ths thick styrene sheet, and small pieces of styrene to form the ribbing. And I have painted it to look coppery because I am going to make it look like aged copper with the verdigris, using a technique I've shown you in another one of my videos, which starts by putting a copper color. This is my rust color that I use for painting the sides of my track and so forth. It's used to be 50-50 mix of polyscale rust and polyscale rail brown. Now it's, or railroad tied brown, I should say. Now it's 60-40 mix of the same two colors, but using the Microlux paints from Micromark. Their rust is a lot rustier, so I put only 40% of that in the mix and 50% with the railroad tie brown. So that's that color. And then I will put a thin wash of jade green on it. And this is still Polyscale New York Central, or is it? Let's see. Yeah, New York Central jade green. I have 2 bottles of this yet. And you can get jade green in the craft paints as well. But I dip my brush, a broad, maybe 1/4-inch soft brush, in water, then tip it in a little bit of this paint and give this a wash, and it looks like verdigris. These are the railings that I am assembling for the front porch. They will be painted trim color brown, which is what the underside of this roof is as well, and I'm getting pretty much done with that. One last comment, and that is I saved my last bottle of Testors plastic cement and plastic weld, and when they were empty, instead of buying more of that, I bought a big jar of MEK, methyl ethyl ketone, which works the same way on styrene, melts it together. A lot cheaper to buy it in bulk, and I just decant it into these jars with the brushes. Use all the same precautions for ventilation and safety, because it stinks just the way these two did when they were in their original liquids. But that's what I use now to assemble my styrene. Alrighty, getting close to the end here. Talk to you again soon. Okay, it's time to wind this build up and this video series up on the Alexander Scale Models Haunted House, which I made up as a fairly well-kept Victorian house that's been turned into a bed and breakfast. We'll look at the little sign in a minute. As you knew, I was going to put a full porch on the front, which I've put on a roof that's simulated to be copper raised roofing with verdigris on it, using the technique that I've described before in a separate video. I think I'll put a link to that in the description if you want. There's the front porch. Has a couple folks sitting on a bench on the front porch, the Tichy railings and so forth. And there's the sign for Quinn's Quaint B&B after great-granddaughter Quinn. The third structure in the great-grandchild series. We got 2 more great-grandkids already that I got to get thinking about. But overall, it came good. There's the roof over the back door. Foundation came pretty good. And the cupola is on for the first time as you're seeing it here. And so, yep, that kind of wraps it up. It's some fiddly bits on it, you know, cutting those roof pieces to the right shape, trial and error. Good to use some old cereal box cardboard to rough them out first to make sure you know what you're doing. And that's, that's pretty much it. Let me just say, as always, if you enjoyed this video series on this build, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already done so, you can subscribe to the channel. And oh, by the way, there's that roof over the bay window. I went with thin cardstock for that build, and that's pretty much it. So I think I showed you the young lady looking out of the dormer window. She'll be forever there, caught in time. I still have to do the chimney yet, but I'm not going to hold up this video for that. They once again gave us a piece of balsa wood that we are to carve shapes into for either stone or block or brick. I might play around with that first. I do have some other options. I don't want anything too heavy. It's got to be a pretty good sized chimney, and I don't want to have a big hunk of cast metal up there that's going to fall off and break something. But that's the only thing left, and like I say, I'm going to wrap this up here. So we'll see what the next project is. Stay tuned. I got to get back to working on the layout, but at the same time I'll have some model going, so we'll see. All right, take care. Talk to you again soon.